Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Martha Ayala, and I would like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. On this channel, I try to teach you all the degree theory by the late Nicholas Stoyanovich. So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about the Saturn return, what you can expect according to the degree theory. So, as you all know, Saturn is the great malefic, but it's also the planet of greatest rewards. Saturn rules discipline, structure, blocks, limitations. It requires hard work, long hours. You can face hardships, restrictions, and it's the planet that says no or not now. There's delays. So it's the ruler of time. It delays things, and whatever house you have Saturn in your natal chart, that's where the delays are going to be, or problems, issues. Um, that's the house that you fear or you procrastinate. You put things off for later in that house. And then, or you can have consequences in that house as well. Saturn, like I said, rules structures, boundaries, and also rules depression. With the Saturn returns, these will be times that will make you mature, or you will have big time wake up calls, life events that are challenging or rewarding, depending on the period, depending on which Saturn return you're on. So, and if you have behaved according to Saturn's rules, right? And you've put in the work and you've put in the time. However, not everybody has a difficult Saturn return. Some people, for example, Sun in Capricorn, yours truly, or Saturn in Capricorn, Saturn in Libra, because Saturn rules Capricorn and Saturn is exalted in Libra. Well, these people have an easier time, right? Also, if your Saturn has trines to it or sextiles from, for example, Jupiter or Venus, you have the benefics, Mercury, these are planets that help when the Saturn return comes around. Now, for those people that have harder positions in Saturn. Saturn in Cancer or Aries. Now remember that for the degree theory, the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus. And so for the degree theory, mm, people with Saturn in Aquarius are not going to have it easy. And with Saturn in Leo, they're not going to have it as difficult. Okay, as far as the theory is concerned. But for those people that have Saturn in Cancer and Aries, or have it, or their natal Saturn is squared or facing an opposition, or for anybody that has it on the angles of the chart, which is the first, the fourth, the seventh, and the 10th house, then though that Saturn return is going to be more difficult. I'm just saying. So let's discuss what happens in your first Saturn return. Now, here in the United States, some states consider you an adult when you're 18 or 21. Insurance companies consider you an adult when you're 25. Well, for astrology, it's your first Saturn return, which happens between the ages of 28 and 30. This is the time where most people are getting married or having children. You get your first professional job. Um, you need to be responsible. And you can't rely on your parents anymore because you're not a teenager, you're not in college anymore. So the only person that can get you out of trouble is you. So this is what this first Saturn return is all about. So this is also a time when you compare yourself to your friends, to your peers. How come this person got a promotion and you haven't gotten it yet? Or they landed a really good professional job, but you haven't done so yet. Or they got married and you still don't have a girlfriend. Or they have kids and you don't. So depending on the area, again, which house is where Saturn occupies in your natal chart, that's the area where you're going to have delays in getting the achievements that you want. So if you have Saturn in the seventh house, you're going to get married later in life. You're not going to be married around 28 or 30 unless there are other factors in your natal chart that help that Saturn. So what happens in your second Saturn return? Well, this one is interesting because your mind, oh, and this happens between like 58 to 60, right? So this is when you don't think you're old, but you're not young anymore. It's that in between state, right? Where your mind thinks that you're young and you can still do whatever you did when you were in your late 20s and 30s, you know? Um, but your body says, no, no, I don't think so. This is not happening because, this is the period of time where diseases pop up. And also, if you have your Saturn, um, diseases also pop up when your Saturn is in your sixth house. That's another time when this can happen as well. But this period of time usually brings up diseases in the second Saturn return. But if you have done a good job of being disciplined, at being structured, at being responsible, then you also get stability in life and wrinkles too. That's another thing that the second Saturn return brings. Um, but this one is not as difficult because number one, you already been through the first one. And secondly, you have a Jupiter return at the age of 60 that kind of like helps with the Saturn return. So it's not as difficult as the first. This is a time where basically, like I said, if you've done the responsible thing, you've been honest and you're working hard and you have put in the work, time, effort, the structure, the discipline, then this is a time where you reap your rewards. What are the type of rewards that we're looking at? Well, maybe you paid your house off already. Instead of taking all of those European vacations or those expensive vacations, you put extra money down on your mortgage and you accelerated the mortgage. Or your kids have graduated from the university, or you see them getting married and having children of their own, and they're successful. Or maybe you already have a high position at work, or you get promoted to a high position at work because you have been a good employee and have done the right thing and you've been honest and disciplined, etc. So this is the time that in the second Saturn return where the rewards can come in. No, 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 no. Cancel. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button on the recorder. So this is a period of time where you reap the rewards and you see it through your children or through yourself. Now, from this period of time to the next Saturn return, which obviously not everybody makes it to, because that happens in the late 80s, um, 87 through 90, something like that. If you have been responsible, then from 60 to the third Saturn return, then you make a life review. And either you're satisfied with your accomplishments, or basically some people get scared of death. because they haven't reached the goals that they wanted to in this lifetime. And then they're scrambling. They're scrambling to save money for retirement because they haven't done that. They haven't planned out their golden years. So now it's like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But if you have been responsible and dutiful and, worked hard, et cetera, then you're thinking, okay, what's the legacy that I can leave behind for the younger generation? These are the grandparents that set up a college fund for their grandchildren. Um, or you start to figure out, like, what do you for your inheritance? If you have money and you have property and you have children and you want to give back to them and to the community, then you start, figuring out, planning what are the things that I can do to help a younger generation. And if you are not well off or don't have properties and the like, then you can always teach a younger person your experience. Somebody can learn from your mistakes. Maybe that person's not going to be receptive, but at least they will listen, hopefully listen to somebody older and wiser and who has gone through difficulties in life. Because yes, you can be book smart, you can get a university degree and so on and so forth, but nothing substitutes the experience that you get from life's challenges. There is no book that can tell you that, but your grandparents can, and for the younger generation, they should listen because people try to save people the heartaches that they went through, but sometimes these younger people need to experience them themselves. So at least, try to get to this stage in your life in good health. And how do you do that? By eating the right things, by having an exercise routine. And that could be just like walking, um, maybe lifting small weights so you conserve your muscles, right? And then keeping your brain, the cognitive function working as well as possible. And how do you do that? Well, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't do drugs. So you're being responsible with your body because you're going to need it until, the end, right? Um, Here in the States, if you have not done a will or a trust to be able to give that inheritance to your children, do so. You don't want your property to end up in probate and your kids fighting of, who gets what and what have you. That's not something um, that's going to be easy, number one, because they're going to be already dealing with the emotional thing of when you pass, right? But you should prepare to make things easier for the next generation that's coming up. And I know that this is sounding a little morbid, but it's the reality of life. Um, Especially, for people that are already in their second Saturn return, make sure that you plan for your retirement. If you haven't done so already, which you should have been doing from, your younger years, um, because if not, what's going to happen is that you're going to panic because you see that you don't have enough money for your retirement. So, where are the mistakes that you have made that can be corrected between the second and the third Saturn return? Responsibilities. You got to let go of responsibilities that are not yours. If your kids have student loans, it's their responsibility to pay them off because you need to save money to be able for you not to be a burden on them or on the system. Okay. And I don't mean to lecture anybody, but this is the reality that most people are going to be facing later in their years. And again, we're all hoping that we get there, if we get to this third Saturn return, that we're as healthy as possible. So basically, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. I hope that you're able to learn from this video the stages that you go through, and that this video has been helpful and a reminder of what you need to do in order not to have someone come back and, give you a slap in the hand and say, oh no, you didn't do it right. So, because whatever you don't take care of in the first Saturn return, you're going to be facing in the second Saturn return. Obviously, if you were having children when you were 28 and 30, you're not going to be having children at the age of 58 to 60, but you might be dealing with their issues. So that's the type of message that I wanted to give you all. Anyway, I hope that you have found this video helpful. If you want a chart reading with me, you can send me an email to amaastrology@aol.com. If you've liked this video and you have learned something from it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and send it to somebody else who may learn something from this information. Thank you so much, and I will see you at the next video.